Hello, happy holidays, and welcome back to Creative Differences, the podcast. I'm Dallas, and I don't care as much about The Matrix as the rest of my generation.
I'm Colin, and I feel like you should. Not for any of the reasons beyond it's cool as fuck. Like, the whole trilogy is just cool.
And I'm Demi, and I consider The Matrix to be one of the greatest action films ever made. Welcome to the Creative Differences podcast, your one-stop shop for movie reviews, Fancast Fridays, Throwback Thursdays, and a number of other pop culture-related items. Today, if you cannot tell, we are doing a Throwback Thursday for The Matrix in honor of the release of The Matrix Resurrection.
Yeah. Pew, 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 pew.
Woo.
Gabby's not here. Again. Turns out she was a computer simulation. Sorry about that.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah, wah.
She's stuck in The Matrix.
Yeah. Before we get into it, please like, share, subscribe, review, 5 stars, all those things. Or the agents will get you. They're just going to get you.
The Smiths.
Yeah.
There are other ones. But
Yeah, in the first one, there are other
they just don't matter.
dudes.
Well, no, but in the first movie, though, they say to him, "Oh, you're a Smith."
Do they?
Yeah.
Huh. So they're all named Smith? All the other dudes?
I don't know if they're all named Smith, but it sounds like they're...
Because I know in the sequels, there's a bunch of Hugo Weaving.
Yeah,
Right.
but then in the first one, there are
It's like
distinct
a bunch of
different dudes.
other
But
white men.
yeah,
Anyway, one of those white dudes will get you.
these white men are dangerous.
These white men are dangerous.
First question of the day, guys. Our usual first question. When was the first time you saw this, and how did you feel about it, I guess?
I was an adult when I saw this for the first time.
Wow.
I saw it at a friend's house. We know people that we was talking and stuff. So this isn't really a movie to talk through when you're watching it
It's
for the first
definitely
time.
not a movie to talk through at all.
But I've seen it since then
Mhm.
without talking through it because I
Right.
was alone, and who would I be talking to? See, it's cool. It's always been cool. I feel like on one hand, if I saw this in the theater, it would have made much more of an impact. But on the other hand, if I
Mhm.
saw it in the theater, I would have been 7.
I was going to say you were
So-
7.
Yeah, give and take with that. But it's cool. Colin?
I know I was a child. I might have seen it in a theater. I don't know. It might have been, or I saw it shortly thereafter. But yeah, I saw it when I was a child. I've seen it multiple times since because, like, I've watched it for classes, in classes, just watched it myself because it slaps.
Correction. We would have been 6 when this movie came out.
Yeah.
So,
I might have seen it when I was 6.
how were
I
your
don't know.
parents doing?
I mean, why would this be the one that you'd be like, why the hell would, come on, this movie, like, I mean, I guess it's rated R. But,
6-year-old to
yeah, but it's not,
Leather Daddy Gunfest.
yeah, it's a cool action movie. I don't think I don't know.
But also, like
Yeah,
the general, the
I let
general.
my 12-year-old brother watch it on Thanksgiving because it was, well, he's not 12 anymore. He's 13 now.
right.
But I let him watch it because I had watched it a few weeks earlier than that and was just like, this movie is barely rated R. It's
Why
like,
is it rated
also,
R?
a couple things.
I think language.
Oh.
Couple things,
And
and we're
blood,
gonna get into that.
probably.
Is 12 is twice as old as 6,
That's true.
and I feel like there's a weird stigma when it comes to ratings that sexual content gets that violence doesn't,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
that violence
Mhm.
should,
Mhm.
because you can't show titties in a movie. You get slapped with rated R, but we can shoot 1,000 people,
Yeah.
which is not as natural as the naked
human
body.
Right.
But
like, you
we
think
can
about
just
what
watch
the
you gun a
average
bunch of
person
people down.
is going to come across in their life. I would guess they're more likely to come across, in whatever context, a naked human body than someone gunning people down.
In
left and
America,
right.
you
they
never
definitely
know.
should be. But
Well,
yeah,
okay,
America loves their guns.
Ooh.
But yeah, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shooters ready to gun you down. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, to the point that you guys are asking, why is this movie rated R? Like, so many people get murdered
Yeah.
in this movie. It should be obvious why the movie's rated R.
But we just
But
look
the way we
past
look
that.
at movies is just like, oh yeah, they don't have any titties.
Yeah.
Nobody's really getting rawed
Yeah,
like
I didn't
that.
think about
Why
that
is
at
the
all.
movie rated
but
R? Like, niggas get clapped.
yes, they do.
They
Throughout
do,
the
but
runtime.
also people get clapped in PG-13 movies as well.
That's the thing.
It's
That's
how they
why
get
it's
clapped,
weird.
though.
Like, why?
Because that lobby scene is really violent.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of blood.
And that's the thing.
And
Once
that's
you take
what's
the
so
blood
interesting.
out, you can do whatever you want to people.
But it's like they still dead.
You can blow people up. If you don't show the
Yeah.
blood, it's PG-13.
We
Because
should get back to the question at
MPAA
hand.
is ridiculous.
Yeah, but ooh.
Yeah, to me, when you first saw it, what were you thinking?
I think I was about 13, and this was like, my parents had like I wouldn't say it was like a strict no watching rated R movies rule, but it was kind of like wait until you're older.
Okay.
Except The Matrix. The Matrix was like, at 13, they were like, yeah, you can watch The Matrix, which I still kind of held off on watching it because I was a good kid. I have tried to abide by the rule of not watching rated R movies to the point where I went to a party with a bunch of like other teenagers from my church, and they were watching Freddy vs. Jason, and I literally spent the entire time with my back turned to the screen because I didn't want to watch a rated R movie.
I've been there.
rated R or not, that would not have been your vibe.
It wouldn't have been my vibe
True.
anyway.
But I've been there in that, like, I was at a summer camp and there was some movie, I think it's called Soldier or something, that was rated R. And my parents were always, you're not allowed to watch rated R movies. So I'm sitting there like, I'm not allowed to do that. And then it was just like, we don't care about these kids. Put that movie on. And they put it on. So I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, the movie's rated R. I can't watch this.
Yeah. So yeah, I was that kid, but I was allowed to watch. I was allowed to watch The Matrix because The Matrix, as we just said, like, yes, there's a lot of violence, but there's not like
it's so violent.
You can watch people die. It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah. As long as them titties don't come
It's
out.
also a natural part of life. But
Getting
yeah,
gunned down in a lobby. I don't know.
death is a natural part of life.
Yes.
Not death
This is
like
different.
that.
But I remember really loving this movie when I first saw it. I was just like, whoa, like, what is this? This is so cool. To the point where I became very obsessed with this movie and this, mostly the first movie, but like with the series as a whole, to the point where I took an after school extracurricular class, which was the philosophy of The Matrix. I own the book Philosophy of the Matrix.
Interesting.
I'm that person who is more than just interested in the production of film, but also like, philosophical message, political messages, religious messages, if there are any. I'm that person. So I was deeply into The Matrix and what the Wachowskis were writing at that time. It's probably a reason why I got super into philosophy for a while there as well.
Interesting. Speaking of the Wachowskis.
I'm a nerd.
Yes, you are. But, we all are. Yeah, The Matrix is written and directed by the Wachowskis. They made Jupiter Ascending, the 2008 Speed Racer, Sense8, some other stuff, presumably.
I love just about everything you just listed.
Nice. I have not seen any of it. I've seen parts of Sense8, but...
Actually, you know what? No, I don't love Jupiter Ascending. But there are things about Jupiter Ascending that I do love.
I kind of love Jupiter Ascending.
It's weird.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's very wild. It's the most interesting aspect of that show, of that movie, is not the main story. It's everything outside of it.
The most interesting aspect of the movie is like the incidental shit. It's moment to moment. Like, why is Eddie Redmayne whispering and then screaming? I don't know.
But he's amazing.
Why is she Queen of the Bees? I don't know.
Not the bees.
Like I said, everything about that movie is interesting except for the main story. But anyway,
yeah,
I do love Sense8 though.
Yes, you are an outspoken Sense8 adorer.
Fan.
Adorer?
Yeah.
Someone who adores, an adorer.
It's like you're trying to talk to Adora, but you have food in your mouth.
Adorer. The movie stars
Hey,
Keanu
Adora.
Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, Carrie-Ann Moss, Hugo Weaving, and Joe Pantoliano.
Who is that?
Cypher.
I was thinking
Wait,
Italian ass
Cypher's
name.
a bad one, right?
Yeah.
Cypher.
Dope ass name though.
It's a great name.
Yeah, I figured Italian ass name is either going to be Cypher or a character in the sequels. So
Also, dope ass actor. Shout out to Joe. IMDb summary is when a beautiful stranger leads computer hacker Neo into a forbidding underworld, he discovers the shocking truth. Huh?
forbidding?
It says forbidding.
I mean, it technically is forbidden. You're not supposed to know that this is not the real world.
Yeah. He discovers the shocking truth. The life he knows is the elaborate deception of an evil cyber intelligence. The Matrix.
Boom. So, story. What do you guys think?
It is a lot.
See, it's interesting because I feel like it is and it isn't. Like
Elaborate.
Watching it this time, I was like, this isn't actually that complicated.
The story is very simple. It's the concepts that are not.
Even then, they're not, though. I feel like it's the world you know is a simulation,
Yep.
and the real world sucks. That's what it is. That's all it is.
It's true.
They pile stuff on top of it, like we got the programs and the hacking
Right.
and the glitches and the just this world is fake, this world is real. They wanted to keep you in the fake world or kill you.
Well, that's not all it is. That's all the, let's say, synopsis, summary. Like, that is a description of the story. That is not all the story is because of all the stuff that they pile onto it.
Well, I mean, the story is just a chosen one story.
The story is a chosen one story. But when I say the story is a lot, it's all the stuff that's piled onto it that makes it a lot. Because, I'm not going to put that in the character section of the visual sound. Like, that's part of the story. All the stuff he has to do with the Oracle and little niggas bending spoons and all that stuff. Like, that's part of the story for the movie.
For me, and that's why I said the story is simple.
Mm-hmm.
It's the concepts in the story that are more complex.
Like broad.
Because that's a lot of philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of, it's mind over matter.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of what the philosophy of this movie is that you can do things that your body cannot physically do because your mind is allowing you to do it.
Right.
I think it's complicated for some people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, my mom just confessed to me like a few weeks ago that like she saw The Matrix in theaters. We own all 3 of the Matrix movies.
Mm-hmm.
She's never understood it. My uncle said the same thing to me on Thanksgiving. He's like, I've never understood that movie. For me, I was like, oh, I've always kind of,
Right.
I've gotten it, but I'm weird. I like that type of stuff.
Yeah, like I just kind of rocked with it from day one. Like, okay, so the Matrix is a simulation, which means you can break the rules if you know it's a simulation, and especially if you're Jesus. So
Yeah.
Cool. Rolling with it.
So I can understand why people would think it's complex. For me, I've never found it super complicated, but I've also watched it 1,000 times at this point. So
There's
yeah,
also that, yeah.
Yeah, that would definitely help.
maybe I should have asked my 12-year-old brother
Yeah,
after
maybe.
the movie was over if he understood what the movie, if they understood the movie. I just simply asked him if he liked it, which he did. So
Yeah, it's one of those things that if you describe anything simple enough, you can make it sound simple.
Yeah.
But if you watch the thing, like when Inception came out, a lot of people were confused. You go in, niggas dreaming, we go in the dream, we plant an idea, get out as fast
Well,
as we
see,
can.
the thing about Inception is I feel like at first it is that simple. And then they start with we got to go down into this layer and this layer and this layer. And then in this layer, you're going to do this. But then in this layer, we have to like incept the idea that we're incepting the idea that we're incepting the idea. Like,
Right,
then we
and
have
that's
to
what
get
I'm
to the
saying
core of
with the Matrix is that it starts with this is a simulation, and then it goes to we have to do this. Like Inception starts with going in the dream, and then it goes into now we're going into the dream inside the dream, and now we're going into like the basement of the dream.
But I think yes, the movie starts out as this is all a simulation. None of this is real. Here's the real world. We're bringing you into the real world.
Right.
Everything that happens after that is the chosen one story. It is them going, how do we prove that Neo is the chosen one? It is Neo's journey to understanding and realizing who he is and the steps that he has to take to do that. And the steps that he takes are, okay, here's the real world. You've never used your body before. You're basically a baby.
Right.
We now have to rebuild your body. Okay, we've done that. Now here's how you learn how to do all the things that you need to know. Learn some kung fu. Here you go. through a computer program. Here's how you download all the information.
God.
It's so cool. Download all the information you need. Great. We've done that. Here are the tests that you need to do. You do the test. Great. Now we take you to the Oracle. And then after they take him to the Oracle, that's when everything goes to crap.
I understand that the world of the Matrix kind of sucks. Can we just create the version of where you can just download information like that?
You got to put the plug in the back of your head, though.
I'm
that sounds
fine. I will
painful.
take that. If it means I could just, like, anything I want to know, there's just a program that can just download it to me, and I'm like, okay, cool, now I know it. Like, that's awesome. Trinity's like, oh, I need to know how to pilot a helicopter. 10 seconds later, she knows how to pilot a helicopter.
Only thing
That's
is,
amazing.
though, it's kind of like a hard drive where you can't just unplug it. You
No,
gotta
you're
do
right.
it safely.
Which,
True.
God, the fact that...
Yank that thing
I
out.
feel like they should just show that as like a PSA, just the part of people, pulling the plugs and people dying. Like, that's why you don't do that with your flash drive.
That's what happens with your
You're
hard
killing
drive.
your computer.
That's exactly why I had to back up my last hard drive because it kept coming unplugged.
Hate to see it.
It sucks.
You do.
I do love the amount of like computer stuff that is in the Matrix, though. Even the smallest of things, I'm just like, what? How? This is so cool. And this is like probably the most I've ever gotten into cyberpunk anything because that's what the genre is of this movie. It is a cyberpunk film.
Is it?
Back in 1999, hell yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You got to remember that this came out in 1999. This was what cyberpunk was at that time.
Fair.
Nowadays, it's something very different because we have evolved.
Yeah.
Technology has evolved. But yeah, I've always really enjoyed the story of the Matrix. I've enjoyed all of the philosophy that goes into it, all of the religious aspects of it, because there's a lot. There are so many details that the Wachowskis put into this movie that it would take a whole podcast just to talk about the influences of the Matrix.
Yeah.
Because it's more than just Colin was like, don't talk about the cave when we do this podcast, but it's more than just the philosophy of the cave. There are so many other philosophical ideas.
See, I think
behind
that's my
this.
problem with the cave is that that's how it was presented to me in high school, in our English class, which you were probably also in.
I was in your English class.
We talked about the allegory of the cave, and I was like, this is stupid. But it let me watch The Matrix, so I was cool with it.
All right, story's done. Characters. These characters are dope.
Neo is serviceable. I'm not going to bat for Neo.
The funny thing about Neo is that knowing that Will Smith also was up to play Neo and he refused it just tells me that like Neo could have been a completely different character.
Yeah.
That makes me think that they
Because
didn't have a firm
he's
character
not
for Neo.
much of a character. Like as far as white Jesuses go, Neo's not bad.
No.
But in terms of like characters and personality, like I don't know if obviously he could, but I don't know if Will would play a character this flat.
Yeah.
Like, Will doesn't do that.
No.
No, Neo would have been very different if Will had
Yeah,
played.
it would have been.
There would have been a lot more
movie.
like charisma to it and energy and.
Yeah.
I think Keanu's great because Keanu brings a very different type of charisma. It is Keanu's like surfer dude energy that is being brought to this character. And Neo is confused the entire movie.
Yeah, that's his
the whole time.
That's his trait. It's his character personality.
He is confused the whole time until it finally comes
But
down
the
to
thing is,
this is who I am.
There is some amount of it that I think works well because I think it might get annoying if he were freaking out at everything.
Absolutely.
Sometimes he does. You know, there's that one part where they first show him the Matrix and he's like, that's not real. That's not real. What the hell? And then he passes out and like throws up. It's like, okay, you do that once. Great. Totally get it.
Yeah,
if he'd done that
do it
every
every
time, I
15
think it
minutes.
would have frustrated me. But it works that he doesn't.
Also, I feel like this is the type of thing where like, okay, if you're Neo and you find out everything you know is a lie,
right.
this whole world doesn't exist. Okay. And so, yeah, you have that moment, you throw up, you pass out, all that. After that's all happened, and you find out not only is the real world in this, but you're the savior of the world, and there's no way of going back to what you used to know. I mean, at that point, you do have to kind of just roll with it. You kind of just got to be like, well, yeah, this is my life now, I guess. Like, this is what I have to do.
Nah, bro, I'd have been Cypher like, put me back, bro. This sucks. I don't want this. Put me back in the Matrix.
I totally was like, yeah, I totally understand Cypher. I get it. Because like,
Yeah,
I
bro.
also would be like, yo, bro, what did I get myself into?
I'm
See,
in here
that's
eating
the
steak.
thing is like, I get it. I get where Cypher's coming from. Is like,
But also, he's
the
a douche.
real world
Yeah,
sucks.
he sucks
The way he goes
for what
about
he
it
did.
sucks, and what he does sucks, but his motivation makes sense to me. Like, I can go back into this world and be rich and be powerful and live a good life and not have to live this shit existence where we eat this bad oatmeal for
Right.
every meal. Like,
That might taste like chicken, but might not taste like chicken.
yeah. Like, it's
And I
just a
bet it doesn't.
nutrient paste, and it's like, I get it.
Yeah, I don't want any part of that.
But also, you don't have to murder everybody else. That's
Yeah,
not
I
what
was
they
like-
asked you to do.
You killed everybody.
Right. Like, why do that?
What they do to you?
Right?
His heel turn was so aggressive. And also, why'd they make him
And
so
it's like,
creepy? I didn't like that.
I don't get why he blames everyone else. Like, he's like, oh, Morpheus, this is your fault. We were doing what you wanted. And it's like, you chose to stay in this world, and yes, it's shitty, and yes, I'm sorry you made that choice, but you don't get to blame everybody else for the choices that you made.
But I think that helps, because he is supposed to be the villain. So you
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
you don't want to be like, I mean, he got a point, and then like just be with him the entire time.
No,
Like,
you're right.
You
You're
gotta,
right.
You
You're
got to
right.
emphasize that.
Yeah.
No, this guy's still a bad
He
guy.
got a point until he starts doing this stuff, and then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
you went about your point in the bad way.
I do appreciate. Well, also it's automatically a bad way because you're betraying everybody else that you know that you've been with this entire time. But like, I also appreciate that the movie doesn't like. It doesn't do the thing where like you're watching the movie and oh no, he's been the bad guy all along. Like they're like, no, here's a scene of us showing you that he's gonna betray these people.
Right.
He's the Judas. Like he's going to betray these people. This is how this is gonna happen.
Yeah, although I do think I would find it more interesting if he was a character that came from a standpoint of, I don't want this. I have to go against what you guys are doing. But not to the extent that he went when he was like, ha ha ha, I'm going to kill everyone. It's like, yo,
Yeah.
just
Although
do what you do and get out.
he could have just done it to Neo, which was kind of the point. I loved that though. I
murdering
love when
people.
he's like, I'm gonna kill Neo. And the thing is, if this guy's really the one, I'm not gonna be able to. Some miracle is gonna happen that's gonna stop me from killing this guy.
I do love that.
I love that moment. I think it's great. And I also, it's really important moment for Trinity because at that point we really don't know what Trinity's feelings are or what her ideas are towards what's going on. She's doing this because, Morpheus has kind of told her to do it.
Right.
But we don't know what is her stance on any of this. And so I think it's a great moment where he kind of challenges her beliefs. Like, do you actually believe that he's the one? Or are you just going with it because Morpheus is telling us to go with it?
Right.
Yeah, that is something that I think is really cool about the movie is how much tension there is around whether or not Neo is the one, because we're not sure for most of the movie if he actually is.
And Neo doesn't believe he's the one.
Yeah, and a lot happens that kind of makes us think, ooh, maybe he's not.
Don't the Oracle say you're not?
The Oracle does
The
tell him
Oracle
he's
like,
straight
nah,
up
bro,
says,
you're
you're
not.
not it, which is like, ooh.
And
not that guy, pal.
I don't think she says you're not. I think she says you know
No.
what the answer is.
I think she says
She
you're
says
not.
he's not. She
Does
tells him that
she say you're not?
She does.
Yeah.
She straight up tells
She's
him,
like, I'm sorry,
I'm
Sam.
sorry, you're not the one.
it ain't
Like,
you, bro. You
And
ain't
then
got
that,
the juice.
and then that leads into her being like, either you're gonna die or Morpheus is gonna die, because
Right.
Morpheus believes that you are the one with his whole heart.
And that's why later Neo was like, no, don't let him die.
Yeah.
For me, I'm not the one.
And also there's the brilliant internet reference. Probably the smallest one I've ever seen in my life. The where she offers him a cookie and he accepts it.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
I was like, when I discovered that a few months ago, I was like, are you serious?
Oh, cookie. Yeah, I remember. Okay, I got you. The
Because
cookies.
you got a little package of information.
I do love the Oracle. Like the fact that she's basically a black granny.
Love her. And I'm so sad that
So
she
good.
died before the third one because
Oh, yes.
she's my favorite part of the movie.
A gem.
She making
Like,
cookies. She's
just-
giving out wisdom.
I feel like the tone of the movie like completely shifts when we're with her. Like
Yeah.
it's calm, it's cool, we're chilling, she's having a good time. I just like, oh, it's so cool.
The bass line, man, so good.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, what's really going to blow your mind is if I hadn't said anything, would you have knocked it over in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, what?
She was roasting a little bitch. Like, oh, you're not too bright though. She's such a black grandmother. I love it.
She's so
Shout out to the
great.
Oracle.
And then we haven't really discussed Morpheus, who
That's true.
truly believes that Neo is the one. And
well,
because he has the prophecy that he is going to be the one to find the one.
which is such an interesting prophecy. Like you're not the savior of humanity. You're gonna find the savior of humanity. Like
Yeah.
It's like Tupac said, I might not change the world, but I'm going to spark the brain that changes the world. Morpheus is Tupac.
oh, okay, all right.
That's a choice.
I mean, I'm not gonna argue it. I don't know much about Tupac.
You know,
So
I actually, for one of my classes when I was at university in Monterey, I wrote a 10-page essay on black representation throughout sci-fi movies
Mm-hmm.
throughout the years. So like starting with like Uhura and Star
Yeah,
Trek,
yeah.
and then all the way down to like Black Panther
Nice.
and A Wrinkle in Time. And one of the things I wrote, like
Matrix is good for that.
one of the characters I wrote about was Morpheus, because Morpheus is such like
Yeah,
he's
but
such a
it's like-
powerful character. He's not the lead, but he's a powerful character. And then also the concept of like, if Will Smith had done this movie,
Mm-hmm.
which he says he regrets not taking on this movie, but if Will Smith had done this movie, this idea that Morpheus is the guy who frees Neo from his enslavement.
Mm-hmm.
If it had been Will Smith, a black man saving another black man from his captivity
Yo, slaps.
would have been dope.
Yeah.
But also it's still a really cool concept that this is a black man who is saving people from their enslavement.
And the Matrix like is just good about like because there's him, there's Dozer, there's Tank, there's
Yes.
the Oracle.
then later on we get Gina Torres' character.
yeah.
Aaliyah was supposed to be in these movies. Rest in peace.
Oh really?
Yes.
Damn. But like, there's also it's not just black people. Like the Keymaker, who is super important, is an Asian dude. Like
Keanu Reeves is half Asian. I
Yeah.
mean, he's probably obviously it
job.
doesn't matter what race Neo was.
right.
You know, because it was Will Smith and then we got Keanu Reeves.
Right.
So it didn't matter. But like, you know, Keanu being Asian is pretty dope.
Yeah.
I concur.
It's very, very dope. Also, one of the things that I also love about the characters is their like the naming conventions. Not just like, yeah, we cipher Neo, Trinity, like Morpheus, all these like really cool names, but like the meaning behind all of them, which has always been something that I've loved about these movies. Like, you know, Neo is the one. Neo is an anagram for one.
Right.
Mhm.
But then
The
also
one
his
house.
real name, Thomas Anderson. You know, Anderson meaning son of man, which is something that I believe Christ has been called. You know,
I've heard
forever.
the
He's
term
the
son of man before.
yeah, he's the son of man. And then also Thomas being the disciple in the Bible who did not believe that Christ had resurrected until he could see, physically feel and see the scars on his hands and feet.
Mm-hmm.
Neo is the same. He does not believe in the Matrix until he physically can feel it, can touch it, can see it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then you've got Trinity, you know, the
Trinity.
Christian, yeah, the Christian concept of Trinity, the Godhead 3 in 1, and the only way you can reach salvation is through the Trinity.
Right.
Neo reaches salvation through Trinity. She's the one who brings him to Morpheus.
Right.
And then you have Morpheus, who is the Greek god of dreams, I believe.
Dreams.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's who he is?
And Morpheus is able to wake, the god is able to wake people from their dreams. Morpheus is able to wake people from the Matrix. He wakes them out of their dreams.
Okay.
Like, these naming conventions are so good and have so much meaning, and most people would just be like, they're just names. It's like no, the Wachowskis put so much thought into naming these characters, into the philosophy behind these concepts, into the story itself. And I just think that's really cool. Like, if you're gonna go all in, go all in.
Yeah.
That I think is the thing about this movie, that it doesn't hold up completely for me, but they went in on this movie. Everything about this movie, the way it looks, the way it sounds, the lines, they had a vision. They were like, we're going to go hard on this. And some of it, watching it now, is like, that's a little cheesy. But it's like, no, you were committed, and I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing about the Wachowskis. They always commit. I feel like every single time they make something, they commit to what they're doing. There is no hesitation. We're doing a thing, and we're going to do it 100%. There is no half-assing any of this. We're going to do it. Sense 8, same thing. No matter how I feel about Jupiter Ascending, they went in.
Yeah.
V for Vendetta, one of my favorite graphic novel movies. Fantastic. Every single time. That's why I really like the Wachowskis, actually. I really liked their work. I even like Speed Racer. I don't care what anybody said. I saw it in theaters. Oh boy. I like Speed Racer. But yeah, they commit.
Yeah, as they should. You guys got to commit to your art. Would you be mad at Morpheus if he didn't tell you, like before you took the pill, what he was going to actually show you? Because he says, like,
if he didn't tell you what the world was like?
Yeah.
No. Well, no. I would understand why he didn't.
Because you wouldn't go?
I don't know if I would. I would kind of be on the Cypher thing of like, this sucks. I think it's important. I don't think you can. Because I think if you tell him how terrible the world he's going into is, he's not going to have any interest. He's going to be like, no, but I can live a life here and stop hacking or whatever. And I can find a way to like live my life and have a life.
Right.
Except, I don't have to eat nutrient paste. No, I think I might be mad at first. But then once I understood like how bad it was, I'd be like, no, I get why you didn't tell me.
Also, you can't have a steak like Cypher. Dude, I look at that steak that Cypher eats and I'm like, bro, that looks delicious.
Right?
That's when I'm like, yeah, send me back. I'm not leaving. I want this steak.
Also, we didn't talk about Mr. Smith. Amazing.
That's true.
I can't think of that actor's name right now, dude.
Hugo Weaving.
Hugo Weaving.
He's also Elrond.
Yes. And he's also Red Skull. Hugo, except for in Endgame and Infinity War.
Oh, he wasn't him in...
He was not doing that makeup
Ross
again.
Marquand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's amazing in this film. And I love the way that Mr. Smith acts. He's just so calm and collected until he gets to the end where he's just like, I can't stand you people. I can't stand the stench. If there even
That's
is one.
the thing. That like last half hour where he's like, you know what? Fuck this. Where he's like, I need to get out of here. This place sucks. I love that. Because I just thought he was just a dude who was programmed to just do this shit. But then like, no, he actually has his own motivation. And it's like, God, that's cool.
Yeah. And also, like, I think it's really great the moment where I'm going to call them the other Smiths. The other Smiths come in and they're like, he doesn't know. What were you doing? And he very suspiciously grabs his headphone and puts it back in his ear. And he's like, why? What? Like he knows what he was doing was inappropriate and not part of what he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
I love that moment. It's just so good.
Also, you know what? I don't know if this is story or character. I feel like this is more character. Neo, buddy, if you're going to take a machine gun and shoot into a room with 3 agents and Morpheus, maybe don't move the machine gun around a whole bunch because you might hit Morpheus.
I was actually very concerned throughout that entire scene.
Oh my God. That was just like, that whole time I was like, this is cool, but how did you not hit Morpheus?
Because he's the one.
Is he at that point?
He is at that point, yeah. He's the one.
Okay.
He's always the one.
Right, but like how much can he do? Anyway. Dallas?
Speaking of gun violence, Colin, I have a question.
Yeah.
And to me, you guys know this movie
What's
way
up,
more
dude?
than I do. What narratively is the reason that they have to murder all of those random people?
They don't have to.
I feel like at that point,
They
because the
don't have to.
Smiths take over people's bodies. So once the Smiths find out,
Right.
I can move back and forth through all of these bodies.
But they also, I don't think, it's not until later in later movies that they can do it that fast or with that many people at once.
Well, it's not even about at once. At that point, it's just we have
Potential, I don't know.
you have a bunch of different options.
Uh-huh.
So it's like,
Plethora?
because, there's a plethora of people down here for us to take over. So, like, even when the Smith takes over the guy in the helicopter,
Right.
and they kill the guy, and they kill the Smith, but by killing the Smith, you still kill the guy who was in the helicopter.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
But, like, the Smith is now still alive and has now moved on to another body.
Right.
Even when they get the Smiths inside of the room with Morpheus, they transfer themselves into
Yeah,
the
you're
guards
never
outside
going to
the-
fully defeat them unless you defeat the entire system.
Yeah. So, like, narratively, you could say, we get rid of all these options of bodies for them to take over to take us down.
Does the movie give that explanation?
The movie does
you don't
not.
have to say it.
Do
You
they
can
say
see it.
anything?
No.
They walk in, the guards say, hey, go put your back on the thing, and then he does, and then they're like, oh, can you remove any metal objects? And he goes, look at all these guns, and then he starts shooting.
That's just
But also at the
So
same
weird.
time,
I don't
like,
like that scene.
they,
so weird.
at the same time, like, They see you have a bunch of guns. You're
It's
either
a
getting
military
arrested.
building.
Yeah, you're either getting arrested or you're getting shot right at this very moment.
But it's like,
And I feel like that is what, like, diegetically in the movie, the reason is like if you try to stop, you're gonna try to stop me, so I have to murk you. But it's just so wild.
it's the thing about it is like,
also it's an action movie.
Watching it,
that's what we do.
2 days ago, I was just like, your whole thing is that you want to free humanity from the shackles of the Matrix. That these people didn't. In a certain sense, they made choices that led to where they are, but also they didn't because they've never been in the real world. These are people you could have freed.
Yeah.
And now they are all dead.
They are.
They're all dead.
Like, not y'all, though. Y'all not coming.
But also, yeah, there's the argument that maybe it was always an inevitability that these people would have died, unfortunately, because they work for the Smiths.
That just doesn't seem fair to them, though.
None of it's fair to anybody. I'm sure if Neo and Trinity had the option of being like, yeah, we don't have to kill these people because they're not going to try and kill us, they'd be like, yeah, all right, cool. We'll just walk through this room.
It's not the question people ask about, like, the random, like, janitorial staff on the Death Star.
Yeah.
We're just, like, sweeping and then boom.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, should have been on the Death Star, I guess.
Visuals and sound.
Okay, every movement in this movie has a sound. And not all of them should, but God, it's so, like, that's the Matrix to me. Is all that. The whooshing.
Yeah.
Like, when Morpheus and
whoosh.
Neo are fighting, why? Like, why does every single movement have a sound? Like, it's so much, but I love it. That and like I said in our chat, the thunder crashing after all these, like, baller lines, like, our way or the highway, thunder crash. Welcome to the desert of the real, thunder crash. Like, oh, this movie
so
just goes so
dramatic.
hard, and I love it.
It does go so hard. Visually, it's also very
See, this is
amazing.
What worries me is I hope that is it Lana who's making the new one? I think it's Lana.
I thought it was Lily. Is it Lana?
I know one of them is and one of them isn't. I don't remember which one. But whichever, I'm just worried that because
Lana.
we're not
It's Lana.
in that time anymore, I just hope she doesn't tone it down. Like, it's the Matrix. Have all those silly noises. Have the thunder crashes. Like, commit to it as you've committed to everything else. I'm just worried that this one will be a little more muted just because that's how movies are. I hope not. Like, God, this movie, visuals and sound, like, it commits to everything. Everything is green. Everything is green.
That's one of the things I wanted to bring up. Well, not everything is green.
Well, no,
the
but
real world is
very
tinted
gray
green because oh, sorry. The Matrix is tinted very green. The real world is cool blue.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that the Matrix is tinted green because it's supposed to be as if you're looking through like a computer monitor. Back in the day, obviously, because that's not what computer monitors look like anymore.
Right.
True.
It's tinted green so it looks, more like a digital world.
Sure.
It's green tinted. Everything is kind of green.
Yeah.
And kind of sickly too, which I kind of like. It's like
Yeah, it's not
I don't
pleasant
enjoy that.
green.
and it shouldn't be enjoyable because this is a false reality.
Mm-hmm.
But then the real world is tinted blue because they felt it looked more realistic, even though you don't find a lot of blue in the natural world.
Which is interesting because I think that's contrasted well in the later movies, because in the first movie the world is blue because all of it you see is like just tunnels, but then Zion is really like yellow and warm and gold, so it's like, okay, this makes sense.
And there's also the moment when they're not in the real world or the Matrix, when they're in the fighting, the sparring room. It's a tinted yellow. It's very warm in comparison.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really love
Is the white room
all the color
part of the
choices.
Matrix where they get the guns and stuff?
Is it part of the Matrix, or is that part of the real world? I think it must be part of the Matrix. It's
Well,
it's part of the program.
Yeah.
They're just not in the actual world.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like I said earlier, like the Wachowskis very clearly had a vision and everything was very well thought out. And I really like movies where you can watch it and be like, yo, somebody thought some stuff out, because, oh boy, like the color coding on this movie, very clearly, the sound as well. This movie was very important to wire work and
That's the
stunt
thing. I was going to
choreography.
get back to that on visuals.
Yeah.
Like that shit, I don't care how many years it's been, it still looks dope as hell.
This movie was very influential for action movies because a lot of people started trying to copy like the Matrix style. They started hiring more stunt choreographers. They started using a lot more wire work
It also
because
just,
the Matrix
like,
was cool.
The Matrix sets, like, not the tone, but sets the expectation in the very beginning, because in that first sequence with Trinity, she does the like jump in the air, the slow pan around. It's like,
Yep.
yeah, this is cool as shit. Yeah, what this movie's gonna be.
The Matrix was also very influential on that too. A lot more movies started doing the slow motion thing for action sequences, or like, because they took inspiration from like martial arts movies in the same way that like John Woo movies, and also like more action movies started to do the camera whirl around thing. Like it became a thing in action movies because the Matrix became so influential. And then on top of that, like we wouldn't have the John Wick movies without the Matrix, because Chad Stahelski, who is the director of those films, he was a stuntman on the Matrix,
right?
And now he's gone on to make John Wick, and he was heavily inspired from working on the Matrix movies.
True.
And the John Wick movies are, in my opinion, some of the best action movies that we've got right now. So
I concur. Chad Stahelski, he knows how to pick them. and make them.
So the Matrix was very influential in a lot of like different ways, which is why I consider the Matrix, like, if it's not the best action movie of all time, it is one of the best action movies of all time for sure. It's not only a good movie, but it's been heavily influential.
It's super influential. Also, there's a
soundtrack is dope too.
I don't know if surprising is the right word, but like surprising amount of body horror in this movie.
Oh my god!
I used to hate the scene with the creature in his stomach when
they
would pull it out.
Little Jacques from Finding Nemo in this nigga's stomach. I was like,
that one bothers me. I think what bothers me more is the mouth.
Yo,
when I hate it. That's the one scene. Like I know it's coming, and I hate it every time.
Aegis was like, "We're gonna show you what that mouth don't do," and just snatched it off his face.
And I love his smile as it's happening, like that very sadistic smirk. Like he knows he shouldn't be enjoying it, but he is.
But Neo was popping off at the mouth, acting like a real white dude in that interrogation room.
Give me my phone call.
I know my rights. What y'all gonna do to me? They're like, all right, you talking too much. Take his mouth.
Take his mouth.
For me, it was always the device in the stomach that really messed me up as a kid. Oh my gosh, I hate it.
When you see it moving in his stomach, no, thank you.
And then when it and then when it pulls out, because it's got some of his body fluid in it.
Too much. I want, and I'm glad we didn't, but I kind of want to see what his stomach looked like after that. Did he have a hole?
Like inside?
I think it just came out of his belly button the same way it went in, which is weird.
Oh my god. Oh god, because there's still flesh there. There's still something there. It's not just like a hole that goes all the way through. So then what?
It's horrifying. All of it's horrifying.
Yeah, this movie is.
And there's also at the end when Neo jumps into the Smith.
Oh my god!
And he's got the bubble coming up on his skin, and it goes up and up and up until he just explodes.
Oh no!
Wild.
Also, like, I have questions about when Morpheus is talking to Neo about the whole "I'm gonna give you the pills," and then Neo touches the mirror, and when they're about to pull him out of the Matrix, and then it like starts to absorb him.
Yes.
What the fuck is that? Like, was that supposed to happen?
I think that's part of the process, because I was looking at the computer screen, and you can see there's like a visual on the computer screen of like something going down the mouth. Like, this is what's supposed to happen.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's supposed to be the thing.
But like they also have to, it has to happen, but at the same time they have to pull him out before a certain point.
Yes. Because, he was also going into shock. His like heart was stopping.
Oh, okay. That was the problem. See, I couldn't tell. I thought that was because of the liquid thing. But then it probably was,
It probably was, because he was probably in shock about this thing happening to him.
Oh, God.
One of the visuals that I really like in this movie is Morpheus's sunglasses. Every single time you can see the reflections so clearly in them.
Silly, and I love them.
I love that you can see the reflections in them though. So like when he's holding out the red and blue pill, you can see them. And then like I also really like the doorknob shot, because one, the effort that they did to make that doorknob shot, because it's not CGI, it's legitimately a shot of them reflected in the doorknob. And what they did was they covered up the camera with fabric to make it look like it was part of Morpheus's jacket, so that you couldn't see the camera there.
Okay.
So cool. But I loved that type of stuff. The scene with the spoon, and you can very clearly see Neo's reflection in the spoon. I really liked all the reflection stuff in this movie, because it's like crazy, bro. And it's so crystal clear.
The only problem I have with Morpheus's glasses is how do they stay on? Because I don't think they have like the little
frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't. I was wondering that as well.
They don't have frames.
Because you see him put them on, and he puts them on like this, like with his finger to his nose. That's it, because there's no frame.
The Matrix is just cool like that, man.
I guess so.
It's just cool like that.
Speaking of cool things in the Matrix, to me, do you remember the Easy Jackster episode of Proud Family?
Yes. Yes.
So obviously I saw that when I was younger, and I saw that before I saw the Matrix. So anytime I see the red pill or blue pill scene, I just think of Easy Jackster.
It's hilarious.
Colin, have you seen that?
No.
It's an episode of Proud Family where
It was a
It's
parody on
basically-
Napster.
yeah, it's basically Napster. Like Penny
Okay.
discovers Napster basically, but there's a guy. His name is Mega, and he
Okay.
wears the black shit. He's dressed like Morpheus,
Mm-hmm.
and he tells her about this site called Easy Jackster, and it's a site to get free music.
Okay.
And he's literally Morpheus. He has a line where he has two I guess computer mice, and one's red and one's blue, and he's like, you click the blue mouse, and you click the red mouse, and I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Oh.
It's just so silly, but I love it so much.
So good. Favorite aspects of this movie, guys?
Oh, geez.
All of it. No.
Well, see, yeah, it's like the totality of it. It's how hard the Wachowski sisters committed to this is what we're doing, and we're going to go hard on every single aspect. Like that, it just, yeah. There's just so much about this movie that's just like, this is so silly, but you buy it, and so I buy it.
Your favorite aspect is the effort.
Fair. I think for me, it's just, this is one of those movies that I like its influence, I think, more than I like the actual movie.
Mm.
So, like, the way that Demi says, it's not only one of the best action movies because it just is, but also because of what it led to and what it did. So
Mhm.
I love how original it was when it came out. Like, in 99,
Yeah.
this was crazy.
It's the same thing as when we were talking about Terminator 2. Like,
Mhm.
Terminator 2 was also a very influential action movie. And
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of the results of what it led to,
Right.
but it's also just a really good action movie.
Yeah.
But for its time, this was the OG.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with The Matrix.
Right. I love that in the 90s, the Wachowskis were there thinking, we can go for it. And they did. I love the fact that they did.
My favorite aspect is probably, even though I think that this is like one of the greatest action movies ever made, for me, it's the philosophical, religious, all that type of stuff, all that influence that they've managed to put into the script, because it's something that I feel like when you do that with a movie, it keeps giving. There's always something new to discover. There's always something new to learn. There's always something new to pick up. Like I said about the cookie joke. What?
Also, I need to get me some cookies. Those cookies look good as shit.
She made some good cookies. Like, it's just like, there are so many things in this movie that you can pick up, and you'll keep picking stuff up over and over again. And I feel like those are the best types of movies, because then it's never tiring watching those movies over and over again, because there's always
Right.
something new to get out of it. That's what The Matrix is. And I'm very excited for the next one. Speaking of which, The Matrix Resurrection.
Yeah.
What are you guys anticipating from the new movie?
I don't know. And that's exciting. Like, I think I might do the thing that some people do where it's like if they release more trailers, I might not watch them. Because I watched that first trailer. I think it's fantastic.
It's a
and
great
I know
trailer.
nothing about this movie.
It's
I don't
dope.
know. It looks like a retread of the first one, but it isn't, because Neo is Neo. He's gone through what Neo's gone through, it sounds like. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know what this movie is.
It's a Neo that seems to have forgotten that he's in the Matrix.
Right, but then if they pull him out, is he still going to be blind? Is he like, how much of what happened in the first three is going to, like, I don't know. I don't fucking know. The only thing is, like I said earlier, I want it to commit as hard as the first three do.
I think visually right now, it's definitely committing as hard. It's definitely one of the things that I've really liked is that when the first trailer came out, first off, the marketing on this movie, I want to go back to that, because they had a website where you specifically had to go to see the teaser for the trailer, where they told you when it was coming out and everything. And it was super dope. And it like synced up to whatever time was actually, it was crazy. Like, it was so interactive. And I miss when marketing was interactive that way. And I kind of wish that they would bring that back. And I'm glad that The Matrix did something like that. But also just like, you know, people after they saw the trailer, they were pointing out like different stuff. Oh, Neil Patrick Harris's glasses are hella blue. Or, oh, he's wearing a red this. Or, oh, there's a bunch of blue this over here. Or this or that. And then once people started pointing that out, I was like, well, now I have to rewatch this trailer. Because now I want to see if there are these like little color-coded things that I missed because I wasn't really paying that close attention. And it feels like The Matrix Resurrection is going to continue that attention to detail that the first movie had, which is fantastic.
So, okay. I'm going to say something that is going to be somewhat blasphemous.
Oh, Lord.
But then again, I'm not religious. So at this point, is he better than Jesus if he came back twice? Because he dies at the end of the third one.
Well, Jesus is also supposed to come back twice. So.
Ooh, good point. But not. But right. But the second time, isn't he just supposed to show up and then like do the rapture, or is he supposed to like live and chill?
I mean, I think he's taking us to go live with him. So
Right. But like Neo, because Neo dies in the first one and then comes back. And he dies in the third one and then presumably comes back. I don't know. Just a thought.
I don't know, but I'm not gonna blaspheme. I actually believe in Jesus. So
Yes, my Jesus is not white, and that's my answer to that question.
I mean, neither is this one. So
He is. He's white and Asian.
all right.
Like white Jesus is white Jesus. Also, mathematically, he's whiter than he is Asian, but that's just splitting hairs.
That's very splitting hairs.
Kind of blood quantum.
I'm just saying, if you look at his parents, he has more white than he does Asian.
Like one drop rule shit.
White.
Yeah, no, this one looks like it's going to be great. I can't wait to see it in IMAX because obviously I'm going to go see this in IMAX. I'm not going to miss that opportunity, especially because I've never seen a Matrix movie in theaters. So that's going to be dope.
Same.
Because the second and third one came out when we were 11.
Both of them?
Yeah, they both came out in 2003.
Wow, what?
Because they shot them back to back in the same way that they did like Lord of the Rings, and they just released them on separate dates in 2003.
Okay, that's a way to do that.
Yeah. Wish they had done that with Dune.
Yeah.
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 Or I just wish they had said from the jump that they were going to give it a part 2.
Yeah, but Denis Villeneuve already said that it was a blessing not to film them back to back because he would have been exhausted.
That's fair.
We were talking about what's going on with Neo in this movie. And here's the thing. I'm not going to assume that I know what this story is about. I don't, even after watching this trailer, which is fantastic. And I'm going to go into it not knowing anything about it and be happy that I don't know anything about it. But I do get this, like, I don't know why I get this sense. My prediction, which is probably wrong because it's the Matrix. Never pretend that you know what's going to happen in the Matrix. But my prediction would be that it seems like Neo went back into the Matrix for Trinity. And that he has
what it seems to be saying.
Yeah, and he has somehow forgotten that he is in the Matrix. Because it sounds like Morpheus is saying, you have forgotten, and I know that there's something in the Matrix that you're seeking and that you're still looking for, but you have to come out of it. So it sounds like he's looking for Trinity. And I feel like Trinity would be the only important thing for Neo to bother going into the Matrix for.
But then that asks the other question of why did Trinity go back into the Matrix?
That asks the question, how did the Matrix come back?
Well, yes.
Because they destroyed the Matrix at the end of the third movie, if I remember correctly. I have only seen those movies once. But yeah, we're going to find out how the Matrix is back. Also, this cast is phenomenal. Like, not only did they get Keanu and Carrie back, but like Yaya.
Yeah.
And he's playing.
Such a good cast.
Spoiler redacted. And then I love Jessica Henwick. Even when Iron Fist was not the greatest show in the world to me,
Right.
I loved Jessica Henwick on that show.
She's dope.
I always thought she was great. So I always get excited to see her doing different things. And it's so cool that she's in the Matrix. She looks dope in the Matrix.
Demi.
Yes.
The Matrix is rebooted, and the architect meets the Oracle in a park. They agree that the peace will last as long as it can, and that those humans who desire it will be offered the opportunity to leave the Matrix. But it is not destroyed.
Cool. I like that.
What they end up doing is they broker a peace with the architect so that the Sentinels aren't attacking Zion. But the Matrix still exists.
Okay, there we go. That makes more sense. That'll be interesting then to see where this movie is going. Are they still trying to destroy the Matrix, or are they? That'll be interesting. Jonathan Groff is in this movie. Neil Patrick Harris is in this movie.
Love it.
So many great people are in this movie.
Jonathan Groff is dope, and I was super excited to see him in the trailer because I didn't expect to see him at all.
Yeah.
Hey, Holden.
And one of the best things about this is that at least one of the original creators of this movie series is coming back for it.
True.
Yeah.
Because they apparently were thinking about doing a Matrix movie years ago without them.
Without them?
Yes.
Ooh.
And
that just feels disrespectful.
I mean, that's just how Hollywood works nowadays.
I know.
Yeah, we got the rights. We gonna use them.
Yeah.
But y'all come back or not.
It's also got one of the other writers from Sense8 working on it as well. And as I said, I love Sense8.
Okay, but are they going to bring back Enter the Matrix, though? Because that game slapped.
The game did slap.
It did slap.
I think my cousin had that game.
Bring back Jada Pinkett. What's she doing these days?
Oh, yeah.
She's in it.
Is she in it?
In Resurrection?
Yeah. Oh, she is.
She is.
Oh, hey.
Kate's in it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Priyanka.
She took a break from talking about her marriage to do a movie.
Oh, my gosh. Priyanka's in it. Oh, and they've got 2 of the cast members from Sense8 in it.
You know
I
what?
forgot about that. I'm so happy.
You know what? It's better that Will didn't do this movie.
Yeah.
The whole movie Resurrection would just be a red table talk.
Oh my God. That would be hilarious. You sit at the blue table. You stay blah, 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 blah. You sit at the red table. And I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Oh, I'm sorry. There are 3 cast members from Sense8 in this movie. Oh, I'm so excited.
I like it.
They don't have character names on their IMDb, so they're probably not important characters, but I'm very excited about Max Remo, Brian J. Smith, Toby Unwumer. Shout out to Lana Wachowski for coming back and giving us another Matrix movie that looks like it's going to be dope. And that's all we've got for you guys today.
We did it. We talked about the Matrix. They talked about it more than I did. They like it more than I do.
We have taste. I don't know why I said that like Voldemort.
I was like, the voice.
Voldemort coming out the cauldron.
Sound like Lupita and us.
Ooh, yeah, it kind of did.
Yeah. Speaking of rabbits,
hey,
they eat rabbit.
Yeah.
That was a rabbit hole we just went down.
Hey.
How deep the rabbit hole goes?
We're not going to find out.
Also, that scene, like that line is cool. I think the thing that bothers me is that they go from one literary reference to a different one 1 minute later. When he's like, oh, the rabbit hole goes, and then like a minute later, Cypher's like, oh, Kansas is going bye-bye. Like, pick one.
Right, like you
pick one.
You gotta relax,
No, we're
bro.
picking all of them.
Am I Dorothy or Alice?
Right?
You're
Which
both.
One? Which one are you?
You are both.
Yeah, sure, why not?
I mean, he does. He leaves Kansas, and
it's true.
he also goes down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, you know. What's up, Colin?
No, I just did pick one.
Okay.
The Alice one slapped. You don't need.
Also, I'm curious
rabbit
as to
holes?
why Keanu Reeves has John Wick hair in Resurrection.
Yeah, he just likes that hair.
It's a crossover.
That's what we really want.
That would be dope. Yes, thank you, audience, for listening to everything we say with bated breath and on the edge of your seat. I assume. Probably not. Thank you, Crown Digital, Brandon and I, for putting us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Demi, thank you for editing, putting us on YouTube, and giving us all that extra textual info with names and Greek gods and cookies.
Philosophy, all that stuff.
All that.
The things that I love about this movie.
Colin, thank you for proving that you actually can, in fact, like an action movie.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like the one.
Right.
It can happen.
Like 1 out of 100. You like horror movies way more than you like action movies.
That's not true. That's not true.
Okay.
Statistics say differently.
I'm just saying, if we could look back at the old episodes, like we can talk about some horror movies that you like. I don't know if the same for action movies.
Horror movies and shows.
Are you gonna tell me that I'm wrong?
What?
You gonna tell me that I'm wrong?
Yes.
You look at me and tell me that I'm wrong?
Yeah.
All right, whatever. Colin's lying to you people.
What?
What do you think of The Matrix, audience? Are you looking forward to the new one? Did you hear about the fact that The Matrix is an allegory for gender identity?
Yes.
Because I didn't know about that
Yeah.
until I rewatched this movie.
We forgot to bring that up, but yeah, it is now.
It slaps.
Yeah.
Also, I just like that Keanu Reeves was like, I think he said he hadn't heard about it, but he thinks it's cool.
Yeah,
Like, I think that's all he said. Is like, it's cool.
I think that would be my.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I didn't. Cool. I didn't know that.
Why not?
Yeah, and the directors, came out and said, yeah, maybe unintentionally that was something that we put in there because that was something that we were going through and just didn't know it.
Well, it's funny what I heard Lily said to like Netflix Film Club or something was like, yeah, it is. And I'm glad that people are picking up on that now. It's like, all right, Lily. I
Go
respect
for
it.
it.
Also, fun fact, there was a character, the one with the blonde hair.
Hold on. I know these names.
Sure.
Switch. I think, yes, Switch. Which is probably why the character's name is Switch. So originally in the script, Switch was supposed to be a woman in the Matrix, but a man in the real world.
Oh, I did hear about that. I read about that when I was on IMDb that time.
And I think the studio made them change it or something.
Oh, but that would have been cool. Also, Switch had the threads, like the white.
Yeah.
So good.
There's your fun fact for today, guys.
I like that. One last fun fact for the road about switches from a Switch. You can find us on Twitter at y'all_different, on Instagram and Tumblr at Creative Differences Podcast, or on Facebook.com/Creative Differences PC. I'm sorry to me.
That was so good.
Thank you. If you want to talk about how Morpheus is Tupac, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the King Named Simba.
If you want to talk to me about that video that I need to find again, where it's the final fight, but like after every movement, he does like the throat punch with his fingers.
Oh my God.
It's really good. I'll have to find it after this podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Duck McGuck.
And if you guys want to talk to me and dive super deep down the rabbit hole, you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dreamy Films. Dreamy is spelled DREEMI. Thanks again for joining us. Next time, we will be doing a review for, obviously, The Matrix Resurrection.
Yeah. And maybe some other stuff. We'll see. But definitely Matrix. Anyway, you can find Gabby on Twitter at Deep in That Rabbit's Hole.
I was hoping you would go for the rabbit hole.
That one is incredible.
She is going to kill me.
Well, she has to be there.
That's
here
true.
for
We're
that.
never going to see her again. All right. It's been different. Bye. Question.
Yo.
I forgot about the character named Switch.
Yeah.
Do you think there are characters named Dom and Sub?
100%. Matrix would do that. 100%.
I hope they make it to the sequel.